Welcome back to the Dream Girl Studio. I am your host, LaRoyalty Jones, and remember, you cannot sit with me unless you are LWP, and that is Living with Purpose. Today, I am joined by news anchor Alexis Simmons. Miss Alexis, who are you? Tell us a little about your education and career.
Well, first off, thank you so much for having me today, LaRoyalty.
My pleasure.
So I am an anchor and reporter here
Yes,
at Live 5 News here in Charleston. I started working there about 4.5 years ago, right out of college. Literally graduated a month later. I was right in the job.
Awesome.
I started off as a reporter, and the type of reporter I am is actually called an MMJ, which is actually a multimedia journalist. And what that means is that I shoot my own stories, I write them, I edit them. When I'm live, I do all of that by myself, the camera work. So sometimes people call it like a one-man band.
Right.
So that's kind of what I do here in Charleston. I also anchor the weekend morning shows as well, which is a change up of pace from being out in the field.
So can you explain specifically your role at Channel 5 and what it took for you to get there?
Yeah, so at Live 5 News, as I mentioned, I'm an anchor and a reporter. I will say my love for journalism started in middle school. My teacher actually asked me if I wanted to be on the news show when I was in 7th grade. They needed volunteers because they didn't have enough people. And I was like, sure, I'll try it out. And from there, I absolutely loved broadcast journalism. And I will say from that point on, I literally tried to create my own opportunities when there weren't any to hone my skills as a journalist, as a writer, as someone in front of the camera. My biggest advice to someone who might want to do what I do is to, if you know what your passion is early on, even if it's something different, start finding different ways to hone in on those skills at an early age. No matter how old you are, you definitely can just dive in. For one example, my middle school had a news show, but I went to 2 different high schools and one of them didn't. I created a news show there, started interviewing people. At church, there was oratorical contests. And as a journalist, you have to speak in front of people. I started writing essays every year and got in front of a huge audience. So those are just small things that I did to really fine-tune my skills as a journalist. Once I became one, I had those kind of under my belt for later in life.
How do you handle being a public figure?
That's a really good question. I don't think anyone has actually asked me that before. It's kind of funny because even though I'm on the news, I kind of forget that there's so many people who are watching. So I'd be in the store and people would be like, "Oh, you're Alexis," and I'm like, "Yeah," and I really truly forget that there's so many people who are listening to what I'm saying, who really trust me to give them the right information about what they do in their daily lives. But one of my number one things is to always be kind and respectful to people. People are always watching my move, and I realize too, people are watching when I don't even realize that they're watching. But I think no matter what you do, just be respectful and kind, and really carry that out no matter if you think people are watching or not, because you just truly never know who you're going to be in front of, and you just always want to display yourself in the best manner. So.
Well, I myself am a huge fan of you, so.
Oh, it's so sweet. I'm a fan of you, LaRoyalty.
Thank you.
I mean, this girl is just amazing.
Thank you. So can you describe a typical day in the life of Alexis Simmons?
Oh, okay. There is no typical day in the life of Alexis Simmons. As a journalist, every day is different, but that is absolutely what I love about what I do. When you walk in for the day, you never know exactly what it is that you're going to be covering. But I'll give you a quick 20-second wrap of my day. During the weekdays, I report. So I come in, every day we have to have story pitches. So every day I have to think of what I want to deliver the news about. We have a meeting about it. We discuss it. We vet it to see, okay, do we want to do this or not? So we have that meeting. And after that meeting, everything else is up to me. I'm setting up my interviews. I'm calling people. I'm learning the facts. I call journalists for many experts in a lot of different things. So I am making sure that I can understand the material enough to give it to someone else so viewers are at home can understand. One of the things that I really try to do is when I get complicated information, I try to break it down so that anyone watching can actually understand what it is, because news isn't useful to someone if you are telling them something and they can't digest it. So I really work to kind of bring down the main points of what's going to be out there, make sure that people can receive the actual message. But in between all of that, I'm writing web stories, I am doing social media, I am editing my story, I am going live, all those things in one day. Every day is a new adventure, but that's what makes it so awesome.
Final question. What would you recommend to middle and high school youth that would like to go into the journalist field?
Ooh, that's a great question. The journalism field has changed so much. And one of the things I mentioned earlier is that you're really never too young to
Mm-hmm.
start following your passion. So once when you find out what your passion is, you just start doing things that align with that. It can be big or small. Another thing that I always tell people is if you see someone doing that, something that you want to do, hey, go up to them and ask them, hey, how did you do this? Ask to shadow them. That can really open the door for you to figure out, hey, is that really what you want to do early on? Do you want to switch gears? And I've had great mentors that have allowed me to do that at a young
Mm-hmm.
age that helped me to cultivate my love for journalism as well. So,
Well, as you guys heard here first, you're never too young to start following your passion. Once again, I thank Alexis Simmons for joining me.